Hi there, in this video we're going to learn how to multiply and divide monomials. Before we can begin with this lesson, we need to understand what monomials are first. A monomial is just one term. So 4x squared, that's an example of a monomial. 3y, that's an example of a monomial. 6 squared, that's an example of a monomial. Okay, so it's just one term. So first things first, this is the rule. When you multiply powers with the same base, you add the exponents. So in our first example, we have a to the m power times a to the n power is equal to, you keep the same base, so it would be a, and then you add the exponents, m plus n. So look at your next example. You have 2 to the 4th power times 2 to the 3rd power. Okay, well, 2 to the 4th times 2 to the 3rd is technically 2 to the 4 plus 3rd power, or 2 to the 7th. Okay, so we kept the same base, which is 2, and then we added that 4 plus 3 to get 7. Alright, so let's look at our next example. We have 4 to the 3rd times 4 to the 5th. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep our bases. We're going to keep the base as 4. Then we're just going to add 3 plus 5. And when you do that, you get 4 to the 8th. And then that's your answer. Let's look at our next example. We have 6 times 6 to the 4th. Alright, well, this 6, the first 6 is technically 6 to the 1st power, right? So 6 to the 1st power times 6 to the 4th power, keep the same base, which is 6, and then you add your exponents. So 6 to the 1 plus 4th power, which is technically 6 to the 5th power. Let's look at our next example. You have, this is a little bit different than what we've seen before, just because now we have coefficients, right? Coefficients and bases are different. Your coefficients in this problem are 2 and 8, okay? But your bases are still the same. Your bases are x, right? You have x to the 3rd, and then you have x to the 4th. So your bases are whatever the exponent is attached to. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to multiply, or you can separate them all, and that'll help you see what you'll multiply later. So this 2x cubed can actually be written as separated as 2x cubed, and then this 8x to the 4th can be separated as 8, and then the times, and then the x to the 4th. And when you do that, you can see right off the bat your exponents. So you can add x, and then, well, you would add your exponents and keep the base of x. So your exponents will be 3 plus 4, which gets you that 7, right? So it would be x to the 7th, and then your coefficients you just multiply. So you end up getting 16x to the 7th. So if we look here on the right side for a second, just a quick recap, just multiply your coefficients. So multiply 2 times 8 to get 16, and then count how many x's you have. So in your first term, or I should say, so here, in your first term you had x to the 3rd power, and then in your second term you had x to the 4th power. How many x's you have? You have 7 x's. So you would write x to the 7th power. Alright, this is the rule for dividing powers with the same base. Anytime you divide powers with the same base, you end up subtracting their exponents. So if you look at the symbols example, we have a to the m divided by a to the n is technically a to the m minus n power. Okay, in our example, we have 3 to the 6th divided by 3 squared, which is technically 3 to the 6 minus 2 power, or 3 to the 4th power. So let's look at that for a second. Here's 2 examples that we can look at. So for our first one, we have 8 to the 5th divided by 8 to the 3rd. Okay, so we keep the base of 8, and then we subtract 5 minus 3. So you get 8 to the 2nd power. If we look at our next example, the common base is c, so we keep c, and then we subtract 7 minus 2, and you end up getting your 5. Alright, so this answer would just be c to the 5th. So just some concluding thoughts. When you multiply monomials with the same bases, you multiply the coefficients, you keep the base, and you add the exponents. When dividing monomials with the same bases, you want to keep the base and then subtract the exponents. Alright, thank you for watching. I hope you learned how to multiply and divide monomials.